Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we will be continuing our reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 25, verse number 175. Ukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamam bande Shri Gurum Deen Tarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Prabhu yabe snane yan Vishveshwar darshane dui dike lok kare Prabhu vilokane. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to take his bath in the Ganges and to see the temples of Vishveshwar, people would line up on both sides to see the Lord. Verse 176. Bahu tuli Prabhu kahe bal Krishna Hari dandavat kare loke kari Hari dhvani kari. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed by the people, he would raise his arms and say, "Please chant Krishna, please chant Hari." All the people received him by chanting Hare Krishna, and they offered their respects to him by this chanting. Verse 177. E matadin panch lok nistariya ar din chalila Prabhu udvigna hena. In this way, for 5 days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the people of Vārāṇasī. Finally, on the next day, he became very eager to leave. Verse 178. Ratre uthi Prabhu yadi karila gaman pache lag laila tabe bhakt panch jana. After rising very early on the 6th day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to leave, and 5 devotees began to follow him. Verse 179. Tapan Mishra Raghunath Maharashtri Brahman Chandrasekhar Kirtaniya Paramanand Panchajana. These 5 devotees were Tapan Mishra, Raghunath, the Maharashtrian Brahman, Chandrasekhar, and Paramanand Kirtaniya. Verse 180. Sabe chahe Prabhu sange Nilachal yaite sabare vidaye dila Prabhu yatna sahite. These 5 wanted to accompany Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri, but the Lord attentively bade them farewell. Verse 181. Yandra ichha pache aisa amare dekhite ebe ami eka yamu jharikhand pathe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "If you want to see me, you may come later, but for the time being, I shall go alone through the Jharikhand forest." Verse 182. Sanatane kahila tumi yah vrindavan tomar dui bhai tatha kariyache gaman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Sanatan Goswami to proceed toward Vrindavan, and he informed him that his 2 brothers had already gone there. Verse 183. Kantha Karangiya Mor Kangala Bhaktagana Vrindavane Aile Tandera Kariya Palana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatan Goswami, "All my devotees who go to Vrindavan are generally very poor. They each have nothing with them but a torn quilt and a small water pot. Therefore, Sanatan, you should give them shelter and maintain them." But following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have constructed temples in both Vrindavan and Mayapur, Navadvip. This is purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada is saying they have constructed temples in both Vrindavan and Mayapur, Navadvip, just to give shelter to the foreign devotees coming from Europe and America. Since the Hare Krishna movement started, many European and Americans have been visiting Vrindavan, but they have not been properly received by any ashram or temple there. It is the purpose of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give them shelter and train them in devotional service. There are also many tourists eager to come to India to understand India's spiritual life, and the devotees in our temples, both in Vrindavan and in Navadvip, should make arrangements to accommodate them as far as possible. Verse 184. Eta bali chalila Prabhu sabha alingiya sabai padila tatha murchit hena. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them and all began to proceed on his way, and they all fainted and fell down. Verse 185. Ketakshane uthi sabe dukhe ghare aila, Sanatan Gosani Vrindavanere Chalila. After some time, all the devotees got up and returned to their homes, very much grief-stricken. Sanatan Goswami proceeded toward Vrindavan alone. Verse 186. Etha Rupa Gosani Yabe Mathura Aila Dhruv Ghate Tandre Subhuti Rai Milila. When Rupa Goswami reached Mathura, he met Subhuti Rai on the banks of Yamuna at a place called Dhruv Ghat. Verse 187. Purve Yabe Subhuti Rai Chila Gaude Adhikari Hussain Khan Sayyida Kare Tahar Chakari. Formerly, Subhuti Rai had been a big landholder in Gaudadesh, which is Bengal. Saida Hussain Khan was then a servant of Subhuti Rai. Verse 188. Digi Khodaite Tare Munishfa Kaila Chidra Pena Pana Raya Tare Chabuk Marila. Subhuti Rai put Hussain Khan in charge of digging a big lake, but once finding fault with him, he struck him with a whip. Verse 189. Pache Yabe Hussain Khan Gaude Raja Haila Subhuti Rai Re Tinho Bahu Badaila. Later, Hussain Khan somehow or other was appointed Nawab by the central Muslim government. As a matter of obligation, he increased the opulences of Subhuti Rai. Verse 190. Tarastri tar ange dekhe mar nera jihne Subhuti Rai re marite kahe raja sthane. Later, when the wife of Nawab Sayyid Hussain Khan saw the whip marks on his body, she requested him to kill Subhuti Rai. Verse 191. Raja kahe amar poshta Rai hai pita tahare marimu ami bhal nahi katha. Hussain Khan replied, Subhuti Rai has maintained me very carefully. He was just like a father to me. He said, now you're asking me to kill him. This is not a very good proposal. Verse 192. Stri kahe jati leha yadi prane na maribe. Raja kahe jati nile inho nahi jibe. As the last alternative, the wife suggested that Nawab take away Subhuti Rai's caste and turn him into a Muslim. But Hussain Khan replied that if he did this, Subhuti Rai would not live. Verse 193. Stri marite chahe Raja sankate padila karon yar pani tar mukhe deoila. This became a perplexing problem for him because his wife kept requesting him to kill Subhuti Rai. Finally, the Nawab sprinkled a little water on Subhuti Rai's head from a pitcher that had been used by a Muslim. But 500 years ago in India, the Hindus were so rigid and strict that if a Muslim would sprinkle little water from his pitcher upon a Hindu, the Hindu would be immediately ostracized. Recently, in 1947, during the partition days, there was a big riot between Hindus and Muslims, especially in Bengal. The Hindus were forcibly made to eat cow's flesh, and consequently they began crying, thinking they had become Muslims. Actually, the Muslims in India did not come from the country of Muslims, but Hindus instituted the custom that somehow or other, if one contacted a Muslim, he became a Muslim. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were born in high Brahmin families, but because they accepted employment under the Muslim government, they were considered Muslims. Subhuti Rai was sprinkled with water from the pitcher of a Muslim and meant for Hindus. Being oppressed by the Hindu community, many low-caste Hindus preferred to become Muslims. In this way, the Muslim population increased. Later, the British government made it a policy to divide the Hindus and Muslims, and thus they maintained ill feelings between them. The result was that India was divided into Pakistan and Hindustan. From early histories, it appears that the entire earth was under one culture, Vedic culture, but gradually, due to the religious and cultural divisions, the rule fragmented into many subdivisions. Now the earth is divided into many countries, religions, and political parties. Despite these political and religious divisions, We advocate that everyone should unite again under one culture, Krishna consciousness. People should accept one God, Krishna, one scripture, the Bhagavad-Gita, and one activity, devotional service to the Lord. Thus people may live happily upon this earth and combine to produce sufficient food. In such a society, there would be no question of scarcity, famine, or cultural or religious degradation. So-called caste system and national divisions are artificial according to a Vaishnava philosophy. These are all external bodily designations. The Krishna consciousness movement is not based upon body platform of spiritual understanding. If the people of the world understood that the basic principle of life is spirit, they would understand that the business of the spirit soul is to serve the Supreme Spirit, Krishna, as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita 15.7, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. All living entities in the different forms are sons of Krishna. Therefore, they are all meant to serve Krishna, the original Supreme Father. If the philosophy is accepted, the failure of the United Nations to reunite all nations will be sufficiently compensated all over the world by a great Krishna consciousness movement. Recently, we had talks with Christian leaders in Australia, including Catholic Bishop of Melbourne, and everyone there was pleased with the philosophy of oneness in religious consciousness. Verse 194, Tabe Subudhirai se Chadama Pana Vārāṇasī Aila Sabas Vishay Chadiya. Taking the Nawab, sprinkling water upon him as an opportunity, Subudhi Rai left his family and business affairs and went to Vārāṇasī. Purport: it appears that Subudhi Rai was a big landholder and responsible, respectable gentleman. He could not, however, avoid the social misconception that one becomes Muslim when water is sprinkled in one's face from a Muslim's pitcher. Actually, he was planning to give up his material life and leave his family. Hindu culture recommends 4 divisions: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So Buddhi Rai was thinking of taking sannyas, and by the grace of Krishna he received the opportunity. He therefore left his family and went to Vārāṇasī. The system of Varnashram Dharma is very scientific. If one is directed by the Varnashram institution, he will naturally think of retiring from family life at the end of his life. Therefore, sannyas is compulsory at the age of 50. Verse 195, Prashchitta Puchila Tinho Panditera Gane Tanra Kahe Tapta Grita Khana Chad Prane. When Subudhi Rai consulted the learned Brahmins at Vārāṇasī, asking them how his conversion to Islam could be counteracted, they advised him to drink hot ghee and give up his life. Verse 196, Keha Kahe Ei Nahe Alpadosha Haya Shuniya Rahila Rai Kariya Samshaya. When Subudhi Rai consulted some other Brahmins, they told him that he had not committed a grievous fault and that consequently he should not drink hot ghee and give up his life. As a result, Subudhi Rai was doubtful about what to do. Purport: this is another instance of Hindu custom. One Brahman should give advice condoning a particular fault, another one would advise to the contrary. Typically, lawyers and physicians differ, giving one kind of instruction and then another due to the Brahmanas' different opinions. So Buddhi Rai became further perplexed. He did not know what to do or what not to do. Verse 197, Tabe yadi Mahaprabhu Vārāṇasī Aila Tanre Mili Raya Apapana Vrittant Kahila. In his state of perplexity, let's repeat 197. Tabe yadi Mahaprabhu Vārāṇasī Aila Tanre Mili Rai Apana Vrittant Kahila. in his state of perplexity, Subudhiraya met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when Lord was at Vārāṇasī, Subudhiraya explained his position and asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu what he should do. Verse 198, Prabhu kahe, Ihan haite yaha vrindavana, nirantar kar Krishna nama sankirtana. The Lord advised him, go to Vrindavan and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra constantly. Purport, this is a solution to all sinful activities in this age of Kali. Everyone is perplexed by so many inconveniences, social, political, and religious, and now naturally no one is happy. Due to the contamination of this age, everyone has a very short life. There are many fools and rascals who advise people to adopt this way of life or that way of life. But clear liberation from life's perplexities means preparation for the next life. Tatha dehanta prapti dhirastana muyati. Right. Due to the contamination of this age, everyone has a very short life. There are many fools and rascals who advise people to adopt this way of life or that way of life. But clear liberation from life's perplexities means preparation for the next life. Tatha dehanta prapti dhirastana muyati. One should be situated in a spiritual identity and return home back to Godhead. The simplest method for this is recommended herein by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Krishna consciousness movement is recommending this process all over the world. We are saying chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and be freed from all the complexities of life and realize Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engaged in His devotional service, and perfect your life so that you can return home back to Godhead. Verse 199, Eka nama bhase tomar pap doshe yabe, ar naam laite Krishna charan pave. Mahaprabhu further advised Subudhiraya, begin chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and when chanting is almost pure, all your sinful reactions will go away. After you chant it perfectly, you will get shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport, this 10 kinds of offenses should be considered in the beginning. One is initiated into a chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are naturally many offenses, therefore the devotee should be very careful not to do any of these offenses and chant purely. This does not mean that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is sometimes pure and sometimes impure. A devotee who should be very careful to avoid the offense and chant purely. Doesn't mean that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is sometimes pure and sometimes impure. Rather, the chanter is impure due to material contamination. He has to purify himself so that the holy names will be perfectly effective. Chanting the holy name of the Lord inoffensively will be helping one to get immediate shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. This means that chanting purely, one will immediately be situated on the transcendental platform. We should note, however, that Mahaprabhu's instruction should not wait to purify himself before chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Chanting the holy name of the Lord inoffensively will help one get immediate shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. This means that by chanting purely, one will immediately be situated on the transcendental platform. We should note that, however, according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, one should not wait to purify himself before chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Whatever condition may be, we should begin chanting immediately by the power of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We will gradually be relieved from the material contamination and will get shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, the ultimate goal of life. Verse 200. Ar Krishna naam laite Krishna sthane sthiti mahapatakir haya ei prayashchiti. When you are situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, no sinful reaction can touch you. This is the best solution to all sinful activity. Verse 201. Pana ajna rai vrindavanere chalila prayag ayodhya diya naimisharanye aila. Thus, receiving the order from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan, Subudhi Rai left Vārāṇasī and went through Prayag, Ayodhya and Naimisharanya toward Vrindavan. Verse 202. Katak Divas Rai Naimisharanya Rahila Prabhu Vrindavan Haite Prayag Yaila. Subudhi Rai stayed for some time at Naimisharanya. During that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Prayag after visiting Vrindavan. Verse 203. Mathura Asiya Rai Prabhu Varta Paila Prabhur Laga Napana Mane Bada Dukh Haila. After reaching Mathura, Subudhi Rai received information of the Lord's itinerary. He became very unhappy because he was not able to contact the Lord. Verse 204. Shushk Kashtha Ani Rai Veche Mathurate Panch Chai Paisa Hai Ek Bojhate. Subudhi Rai would collect dry wood in the forest and take it to the city of Mathura to sell. For each load he would receive 5 or 6 paise. Verse 205. Apne rahe ek paisar chana chabaiya ar paisa baniya sthane rakhena dharya. Earning his livelihood by selling dry wood, Subudhi Rai would live on only 1 paisa's worth of fried chickpeas, and he would deposit whatever other paise he had with some merchant. But in those days there was no banking system like the one now found in Western countries. If one had excess money, he would deposit it with some merchant, usually a grocer. That was the banking system. Subudhi Rai would deposit his extra money with a mercantile man and spend it when necessary. When one in the renounced order, saving money is not recommended. However, if one saves money for the service of Lord or Vaiṣṇava, that is accepted. These are the dealings of Subudhi Rai, who is one of the confidential devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami also followed this principle by spending 50% of his money in order to serve Krishna through Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. He gave 25% of his money to relatives and 25% he deposited in the custody of a merchant. These are the approved methods recommended by the Chaitanya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Whether in the renounced order or in the Grihastha order, a Vaishnava should follow these principles set forth by the previous Acharyas. Verse 206. Dukhi Vaishnav dekhi tanre karan bhojan gaudiya aile dadhi bhat tel mardan. Subudhi Rai used to spend his savings to supply yogurt to Bengali Vaishnavas who came to Mathura. He also gave them cooked rice and oil massages. When he saw a poverty-stricken Vaishnava, he would use his money to feed him. But there is a special reference for the maintenance of Bengali Vaishnavas. A Gaudiya Vaishnava is a Bengali Vaishnava. Most of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya at that time were Gaudiyas and Uriyas. Inhabitants of Bengal and Orissa, there are still many hundreds of thousands of his followers in Bengal and Orissa. Bengalis are habituated to eating cooked rice as their staple food. When they went to Mathura in the north, they found that the people generally ate chapatis or rotis made of wheat. The Bengalis could not digest this food because they were used to cooked rice. Therefore, as soon as Subudhi Rai saw a Bengali Vaishnava arriving in Mathura, he would try to supply him with cooked rice. Bengalis are also accustomed to taking massage with mustard oil. In any case, Subudhi Rai wanted to give the Vaishnavas according to their needs. Therefore, he would supply yogurt to ease digestion of food eaten in Mathura, particularly chapatis and rotis made with the wheat. Verse 207. Rupa Gosani Aile Tanre Bahu Priti Kaila Apan Sange Lena Dwadash Vana Dekhaila. When Rupa Goswami arrived at Mathura, Subudhi Rai, out of love and affection for him, wanted to serve him in so many ways. He personally took Rupa Goswami to see all the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Srila Rupa Goswami had been a minister in the government of Hussain Shah, and Subudhi Rai was also known to Hussain Shah because as a boy the Shah had been Subudhi Rai's servant. It appears that Subudhi Rai was elderly, yet while he was living in Mathura, he showed Rupa Goswami the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Verse 208. Mas matra Rupa Goswami rahila Vrindavane, shigra chali aila sanatan anusandhane. Rupa Goswami remained in Mathura and Vrindavan for 1 month in the association of Subudhi Rai. After that, he left Vrindavan to search for his elder brother Sanatan Goswami. Verse 209. Ganga tire pathe prabhu prayag gere aila, taha shuni dui bhai se pathe chalila. When Rupa Goswami heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Prayag on the road along the banks of the Ganges, Rupa and his brother Anupam went that way to meet the Lord. Verse 210. Ethastane Sanatan Goswami Prayage Asya, Mathura Aila Saran Rajpatha Diya. After reaching Prayag, Sanatan Goswami following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went to Vrindavan along the public road. Purport: this is especially significant because when Sanatan Goswami went from Bengal to Banaras due to the political situation, he did not go along the public road. After meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Banaras, however, he was ordered to proceed to Vrindavan along the public road leading to Mathura. In other words, he was advised not to fear for his political situation. Verse 211. Mathurate Subudhi Raya Tahare Melila Roop Anupam Katha Sakali Kahila. When Sanatan Goswami met Subudhi Rai at Mathura, Subudhi Rai explained everything about his younger brothers, Rup Goswami and Anupam. Verse 212. Ganga Pathe Dui Bhai Raj Pathe Sanatan Atev Tanha Sane Na Haila Milan. Since Sanatan Goswami went along the public road to Vrindavan and Rup Goswami and Anupam went on the road along the Ganges banks, it was not possible for them to meet. Verse 213. Subudhi Rai Bahu Sneha Kare Sanatane Vyavhare Sneha Sanatana Nahi Mane. Subudhi Rai and Sanatan Goswami had known each other before accepting the renounced order. Therefore, Subudhi Rai followed much affection to Sanatan Goswami, but Sanatan Goswami hesitated to accept his sentiments and affections. Verse 214. Mahavirakta Sanatan Brahmena Vane Vane Prati Vrikshe Prati Kunje Rahe Ratri Dine. Being very advanced in the renounced order, Sanatan Goswami used to wander from forest to forest, never taking shelter of any habitation built of stone. He used to live under trees or beneath bushes both day and night. Verse 215. Mathura Mahatma Shastra Sangraha Kariya Lupta Tirtha Prakat Kaila Vanite Brahmiya. Srila Sanatan Goswami collected some books about archaeological excavations in Mathura, and wandering in the forest, he sought to renovate all those holy places. Verse 216. E Mata Sanatana Vrindavanete Rahila Rup Goswami Dui Bhai Kashite Aila. Sanatan Goswami remained in Vrindavan and Rupa Goswami and Anupam returned to Vārāṇasī. Verse 217. Maharashtriya Dvija Shekhara Mishra Tapana Teen Janasaha Rupa Karila Milana. When Rupa Goswami arrived at Vārāṇasī, he met Maharashtrian Brahman Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra. Verse 218. Shekharer Ghare Vasa Mishra Ghare Viksha Mishra Mukhe Shune Sanatane Prabhura Shiksha. While Rupa Goswami was staying at Vārāṇasī, he resided at the house of Chandrasekhar and took prasadam at the house of Tapan Mishra. this way he heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Sanatana Goswami in Vārāṇasī. Verse 219. Kashite Prabhura Charitra Shuni Tiner Mukhe Sannyasire Kripa Suni Paila Bada Sukhe. While staying at Vārāṇasī, Rupa Goswami heard of all Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. When he heard of his deliverance of the Mayavadi sannyasis, he became very happy. Verse 220. Mahaprabhura Uparalokera Pranati Dekhiya Sukhi Haila Lok Mukhe Kirtana Shuniya. When Rupa Goswami saw that all the people of Vārāṇasī respected Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very happy. He even heard stories from the general populace. Verse 221. Dina Dasha Rahi Rupa Gaude Yatra Kaila Sanatana Rupera A Charitra Kaila. After staying in Vārāṇasī for about 10 days, Rupa Goswami returned to Bengal. In this way, I have described the activities of Rupa and Sanatan. Verse 222. Etha Mahaprabhu Yadi Niladri Chalila Nirjan Vanapathe Yaite Mahasukha Paila. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was returning to Jagannath Puri, he passed through the solitary forest and he received great pleasure in doing so. Verse 233. Sukhe chali aise Prabhu Balabhadra Sange Purvat Mrigadi Sange Kaila Nana Range. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happily returned to Jagannath Puri in the company of his servant Balbhadra Bhattacharya. As previously, the Lord performed many pleasing pastimes with the forest animals. Verse 224. Athara Analate Asi Bhattacharya Brahmane Pathane Bulaila Nij Bhakta Gane. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at a place known as Athara Nala near Jagannath Puri, he sent Balbhadra Bhattacharya to call for his devotees. Verse 225. Shuniya Bhaktira Gana Yena Punrapilli Jila Dehe Prana Dile Yena Indriya Utila. Hearing news of the Lord's arrival from Balbhadra Bhattacharya, hordes of devotees became so happy that they seemed to be getting their lives back. It was as though their consciousness had returned to their bodies. Their sense also became agitated. Verse 2 to 6. Anande Vihvala Bhakta Gana Dhana Aila Narendre Asiya Sabhe Prabhur Lila. Being overwhelmed with great pleasure, all the devotees hastily went to see Lord, and they met him on the banks of the celebrated lake called Narendra Sarovar, not Narmada Sarovar, Narendra Sarovar. Verse 227. Puri Bharatira Prabhu Mandile Ena Charana Dohe Puri Bharatira Prabhu Bandilena Charana Done Mahaprabhur Rekaila Prema Alingana. When Paman Puri and Ramacharya When Brahman Puri and Brahmanand Bharati met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord offered them his respectful obeisances due to their being godbrothers of a spiritual master. They both then embraced Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a loving service. Verse 2 to 8. Damodar Swarup Pandita Gadadhar Jagadananda Kashishwar Govinda Vakreshwar. Devotees like Swarup Damodar, Gadadhar Pandit, Jagadananda Kashishwara, Govind and Venkateshwars all came to meet the Lord. Verse 2 to 9. Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Pandita Damodar Haridas Thakur R Pandita Sankara Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Vidya Kashi Mishra Pradyumna Mishra Damodar Pandita Haridas Thakur and Shankar Pandita also came there to meet the Lord. Verse 230. CC Madhya verse 30, 25th chapter verse 30. आर सब भक्त प्रभुरा चरणे पाड़िला सभा संगे संगेश सभा आलिंगिया प्रभु प्रेम विष्टा आइला. आर सब भक्त प्रभुरा चरणे पाड़िला सब आलिंगिया प्रभु prema vishtaila. All the other devotees also came and fell down at the lotus feet of Lord. In return, Sri Ganga Mahaprabhu All the other devotees also came and fell down at the Lord's lotus feet. In return, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all with great ecstatic love. Verse 31. आनंद समुद्रे भासे सब भक्त गणे सभा लेना. Thus they all merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss. Then the Lord and all his devotees proceeded toward the temple of Jagannath to see the deity. Verse 232 of the 25th chapter. Jagannath Lekhi Prabhu Brahmajta. Verse 232. Jagannath Lekhi Prabhu Prema Vishta Haila Bhakta Sange Bahu Kshana Nritya Gita Gaila. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Lord Jagannath in the temple, he was immediately overwhelmed with love and affection. He chanted and danced with his devotees for a long time. Verse 233. Jagannath Sevak Ani Mala Prasad Dila Tulasi Padicha Asi Charan Vandila. The priest immediately brought them flower garlands and prasad, and the temple watchman, whose name was Tulsi, also came and offered his obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 234. Mahaprabhu Aila Grame Kulahal Haira Sarabhuma Ramananda Vani Nath Milila. When the news spread that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived at Jagannath Puri, devotees like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramanand Rai and Vaninath Rai all came to meet him. Verse 235. Sabasangelena Prabhu Mishra Vasa Sabasangelena Prabhu Mishra Vasa Aila Sarvabhauma Pandita Kosani Nimantrana Kaila. The Lord and all his devotees went to the residence of Kali Mishra Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. The Lord and his devotees then went to the residence of Kashi Mishra, Bhattacharya and Pandit Goswami also invited them. Invited the Lord to dine. The Lord and his devotees then went to the residence of Kashi Mishra, Sarvam Bhattacharya and Pandit Goswami also invited the Lord to dine in their homes. Verse 236, Prabhu kahe Mahaprasad an ए स्थाने सब संग सबा संगे यहाँ आजी करिमु भोजने. According accepting their invitation, the Lord asked them to bring all the prasadam here so that he could eat with his devotees. Verse 237, तबे तो उन्हें जगन्नाथ प्रसाद अनिला सब संगे महाप्रभु Mahaprabhu Bhojan Karila. Upon receiving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, Sarvam Bhattacharya and Pandit Goswami brought sufficient prasadam from the temple of Jagannath. The Lord then dined with everyone at his own pace. So, I'll read the translation again. When receiving Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, Sarvam Bhattacharya and Pandit Goswami brought a sufficient prasadam and from the temple of Jagannath. The Lord then dined with everyone at his own place. Verse 238, Eta Kahilun Prabhu Dekhi Vrindavan Punaha Karilna Yaiche Niladri Gaman. Thus I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to the Ekadashi, returned to Jagannath Puri from Vrindavan. Jagannath Puri from Vrindavan. Right. Verse 239, Iha ye Shraddha Kari Karaye Sravana Achirat Paye Se Chaitanya Charan. Whoever hears Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime with faith and love very soon attains shelter at the lotus feet of Lord. Verse 240, Madhya Lilar Karilo E Digdarshana Chai. Verse 240, Madhya Lilar Karilon E Digdarshana Chaya Vatsara Kaila Yaichi Gamanagamana. I have thus given a summary description of the Madhya Lila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels to and from Jagannath Puri. Indeed, the Lord traveled to and fro continuously for 6 years. Stufa Vanshesha Astadash Vatsara Lilachalevas Bhakta Gana Sange Kare Kirtan Nivas. Verse 241, Shesha Ashtadasha Vatsara Nilachale Vasa Bhakta Gana Sange Kare Kirtan Vilas. After taking sannyas at the age of 24, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived another 24 years. For 6 of these years, he travelled extensively throughout India, sometimes going to Jagannath Puri and sometimes leaving. After travelling for 6 years, the Lord fixed his residence at Jagannath Puri and stayed there for 18 remaining years of his life. During these 18 years, he mainly chanted Hare Krishna with his devotees. Verse 242, Madhya Lilar Krama Ebe Kari Anuvad Kaile Haye Kathar Aswad. I shall now review the chapters of the Madhya Lila chronologically so that one can relish the transcendental features of these topics. Verse 243 Pratham Parichede Shesha Lilar Sutra Gana Tathe Madhye Kona Bhagera Vistara Varanana. In the first chapter, I have given a synopsis of the last pastimes of the Lila. Within this chapter is a vivid description of some of the pastimes of the Lord that took place toward the end of his life. Verse 244 Dvitiya Parichede Prabhur Pralap Varnan Tathi Madhye Nana Bhaver Dikdarshan. In the second chapter, I have described Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's talking like a crazy man. Within this chapter, it is indicated how Mahaprabhu manifested his different emotional moods. Verse 245 Tritiya Parichede Prabhur Kailun Sanyas Acharyer Ghare Yaiche Karila Vilas. In the third chapter, I have described the Lord's acceptance of the renounced order and how he enjoyed his pastimes at the house of Advaita Acharya. Verse 246 Chaturthe Madhav Purir Charitra Aswadana Gopala Sthapan Kshir Churira Varanana. In the fourth chapter, I have described Madhavendra Puri's installation of the Gopal deity as well as Gopinath's stealing a pot of condensed milk at Remuna. Verse 247 Panchame Sakshi Gopal Charitra Varnan Nityanande Kahe Prabhu Karene Aswadana. In the fifth chapter, I have narrated the story of Sakshi Gopal. Lord Nityanand Prabhu narrated this while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened. Verse 248 Shashthe Sarvbhaumera Karila Uddhar Saptame Tirth Yatra Vasudev Nistar. In the sixth chapter, I have told how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was delivered, and in the seventh chapter, I have described the Lord's tour of different holy places and his deliverance of Vasudev. Verse 249 Ashtame Ramananda Samvad Vistar Apane Shunila Sarva Siddhante Rasar. In the eighth chapter, I have recorded the Lord's elaborate discussion with Ramananda Rai. The Lord personally listened as Ramananda gave the conclusive essence of all Vedic literatures. Verse 250 Navme Kahilun Dakshina Tirth Brahmana Dashame Kahilun Sarv Vaishnav Milan. In the ninth chapter, I have described the Lord's tour of South India and the different places of pilgrimage. In the 10th chapter, I have described his meeting with all his devotees. Verse 251 Ekadashe Shri Mandire Beda Sankirtan Dvadashe Gundicha Mandir Marjana Kshalana. In the 11th chapter, I have described the great chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra that surrounded the Lord. In the 12th chapter, I have given a narration of the cleansing and washing of the Gundicha temple. Verse 252 Trayodashe Rathe Age Prabhura Nartana Chaturdashe Hera Panchami Yatra Darshana. In the 13th chapter, I have described Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing from the chariot of Jagannath. In the 14th chapter, there is an account of Hera Panchami function. Verse 253 Tara Madhya Vraja Devir Bhavera Shravana Swarup Kaila Prabhu Kaila Aswadana. Also in the 14th chapter is an account of how the emotional ecstasy of the gopis was described by Sarup Damodar and tasted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 254 Panchadashe Bhakter Gunan Shri Mukhe Kaila Sarvbhauma Ghare Bhiksha Amogh Tarila. In the 15th chapter, I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu highly praised the qualities of his devotees and accepted lunch at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. At that time, he delivered Amogh. Verse 255 Shodashe Vrindavan Yatra Gauda Desh Pathe Punah Nilachale Aila Natshala Haite. In the 16th chapter, I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for Vrindavan and journeyed through Bengal. He later returned to Jagannath Puri from Kanai Natshala. Verse 256. Saptadashe Vanapathe Mathura Gamana Ashtadashe Vrindavan Vihar Varanan. In the 17th chapter, I have described the Lord's journey through the great forest of Jharkhand and his arrival at Mathura. In the 18th chapter, there is a description of his tour of the forest of Vrindavan. Verse 257. Unvimashe Mathura Haite Prayagamana Tar Mathe Shri Rupera Shakti Sancharana. In the 19th chapter, I have described how the Lord returned to Prayag from Mathura and empowered Shri Rupa Goswami to spread devotional service. Verse 258. Vimshati Parichede Sanatanere Milana Tar Mathe Bhagwanera Swarup Varnana. In the 20th chapter, the Lord's meeting with Sanatan Goswami is described. The Lord described the personal features of Supreme Personality of Godhead in depth. Verse 259. Ekavimshe Krishna Shwarya Madhurya Varnana Dvavimshe Vividha Sadhana Bhaktir Vivarana. In the 21st chapter, there is a description of Krishna's beauty and opulence, and in the 22nd chapter, there is a description of the twofold discharge of devotional service. Verse 260. Trayovimshe Prema Bhakti Rasera Kathana Chaturvimshe Atma Ramaha Shlokartha Varnana. In the 23rd chapter, there is a description of the mellows of transcendental loving service, and in the 24th chapter, I have described how the Lord analyzed the Atmaram verse. Verse 261. Panchavimshe Kashi Vasire Vaishnav Karana Kashi Haite Punaha Nilachale Agamana. In the 25th chapter, there is a description of how the residents of Vārāṇasī were converted to Vaishnavism and how the Lord returned to Nilachal Jagannath Puri from Vārāṇasī. Verse 262. Panchavimshati Parichede E Kahilun Anuvad Yahar Shravane Haya Grantharth Aswad. I have thus summarized these pastimes in the 25th chapter. Hearing this summary, one can understand the whole purport of the scripture. Verse 263. Sankshepe Kahinu E Madhya Lila Arsar Koti Granthe Varnan Na Yai Ihar Vistar. I have now summarized the entire subject matter of the Madhya Lila. These pastimes cannot be described elaborately even in millions of books. Verse 264. Jivan Istarite Prabhu Brahmila Deshe Deshe Apne Aswadi Bhakti Karila Prakashe. To deliver all fallen souls, the Lord traveled from country to country. He personally tasted the transcendental pleasure of devotional service, and he simultaneously spread the cult of devotion everywhere. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally traveled to different regions of India to spread the bhakti cult throughout the country. He also personally relished transcendental activities. By his personal behavior, he has given an example for devotees to follow. That is, one should broadcast the cult of devotional service. He specifically instructed his devotees to enjoin all Indians to broadcast this message throughout the world, because at that time the Lord could not personally travel to other parts of the world. In this regard, he has left two instructions: Bharat Bhumite Haila Manushya Janma Yar Janma Sarthak Kari Kar Parupakar. All Indians should seriously take up the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and should perfect their lives by adopting the process of devotional service. After perfecting their lives, they should broadcast this message all over the world for the welfare of the human beings. Parupakar. CC Madhya 9.41. A Vaishnava is especially interested in Parupakar, doing good for others. Prahlad Maharaj was also interested in this. He did not want to be delivered alone, rather he wanted to deliver all fallen souls who are bereft of knowledge of bhakti and who misuse their intelligence for the temporary benefit of the material body. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted his mission spread all over the world. Prithivite ache yat nagradi gram sarvatra prachar haibe mor nam. In every town and village, the chanting of my name will be heard. CC Madhya 4.126. Following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are trying to broadcast his message throughout the world. By his mercy, people are taking this moment seriously. Indeed, our books are extensively distributed in Western countries, especially in America and Europe. Even the ecclesiastical order in these countries are appreciating the value of the Krishna consciousness movement and are ready to unite for the highest benefit of human society. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may therefore take this movement seriously and broadcast it throughout the world from village to village and from town to town, just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did. Verse 265, Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Prema Tattva, Sar, Bhava Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Lila Tattva, Ar. Krishna consciousness means understanding the truth of Krishna, the truth of devotional service, the truth of love of Godhead, the truth of emotional ecstasy, the truth of transcendental mellows, and the truth of the pastimes of the Lord. Verse 266, Shri Bhagavad Tattva Rasa Karila Prachare, Krishna Tulya Bhagavad Janaila Samsare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally preached the transcendental truths and mellows of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical, for Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound of incarnation of Sri Krishna. Verse 267, Bhakta Lagi Vistarila Apana Vadane Kahan Bhakta Mukhe Kahai Shunila Apane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broadcast the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. He sometimes spoke for the benefit of his devotees and sometimes empowered one of his devotees to speak while he listened. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as an ideal teacher or acharya purport, this is explained Srimad Bhagavatam very elaborately himself. He sometimes also empowered his devotees to speak while he listened. This is the way an acharya should train his disciples. Not only should he describe the Bhagavad cult personally, but he should also train his disciples to speak on this sublime subject. Verse 268, Sri Chaitanya Sama Ar Kripalu Vadanya Bhakta Vatsalna Dekhi Trijagate Anya. All sane men within these three worlds certainly accept the conclusion that no one is more merciful and magnanimous than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that no one is as kind to his devotees. Verse 269, Shraddha Kari E Lila Suna Bhakta Gana Ihar Prasade Paiba Chaitanya Charan. All devotees should hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes with faith and love. By the grace of the Lord, one can thus attain shelter at his lotus feet. Verse 270, Ihar Prasade Paiba Krishna Tattvasar Sarva Shastra Siddhantera Iha Paiba Par. By understanding the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can understand the truth about Krishna. By understanding Krishna, one can understand the limit of all knowledge described in various revealed scriptures. Purport, as Krishna states in Bhagavad-Gita 7.3, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows mean truth. It is very difficult to understand Krishna, but if one tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Bhakti Kal, one will undoubtedly understand Krishna very easily. If somehow or other one understands Krishna, his life is successful. Again, as Krishna states in the Bhagavad-Gita 4.9, Janm karam cha me divyam evam yoveti tattva tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun. Verse 271, Krishna Lila Amritsar Tara Shat Shat Dhara Dashadike Vahe Yaha Haite Se Chaitanya Lila Haya Sarovar Akshaya Manu Hamsa Charaha Tahate. The pastimes of Lord Krishna are the essence of all nectar, and that nectar is flowing in hundreds of rivers in all directions. The pastimes of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are an eternal reservoir, and one is advised to let his mind swim like a swan in the transcendental lake. But the essence of spiritual knowledge is found in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are identical with the pastimes of Lord Krishna. This is the essence of knowledge. If knowledge does not include the understanding of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, it is simply superfluous. By Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grace, the nectar of Lord Sri Krishna's pastimes is flowing in different directions in hundreds and thousands of rivers. One should not think of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu are different from Krishna's pastimes. It is said, Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combination of Radha and Krishna. Thus, without understanding the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot understand Radha and Krishna. Shri Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings Rupa Garagunatha Pade Abe Akuti Kabe Hama Ujaba Se Yogala Priti Piriti. When shall I become very eager to study the books left by 6 Goswamis? Then I shall be able to understand the conjugal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly empowered Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatana Goswami following in their footsteps. The other Goswamis understood Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mission. One should understand Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Sri Krishna from the 6 Goswamis in the Parampara system. The Krishna consciousness movement is following as strictly as possible in the footsteps of the Goswamis. Narottam Das Thakur says, E Chaya Gosani Yandra Mui Tandra Das, I am the servant of the 6 Goswamis. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness is to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Whoever wants to understand the difficult subject matter of Krishna Katha should accept the disciplic succession. If one is somehow or other able to understand Krishna, his life is successful. Tyaktva deham punarjanmana naiti mameti. So Arjuna, a perfect devotee is able to understand Krishna through the disciplic succession, and his entrance into the kingdom of God is thereby certainly opened. When one understands Krishna, there is no difficulty in transferring oneself to the spiritual kingdom. Verse 272, Bhakta Gana Shuna Mora Danya Vachana Toma Savar Padadhuli Ange Vibhushan Kari Kichu Muni Karun Nivedana. With all humility, I submit myself to the lotus feet of all you devotees, taking the dust of your lotus feet as my bodily ornaments. Now, my dear devotees, please have one more thing from me. Verse 273, Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta Gana Yate Praful Padmavana Tara Madhu Kariyaswadana Prema Rasa Kumudvane Prafulita Ratri Dine Tate Charao Mano Bringa Gana. Devotional service to Krishna is exactly like a pleasing jubilant forest of lotus flowers wherein there is ample honey. I request everyone to taste this honey. If all the mental speculators bring the beast of their minds into this forest of lotus flowers and jubilantly enjoy ecstatic love of Krishna day and night, their mental speculation will be completely transcendently satisfied. 274, Nana Bhavera Bhaktajana Hamsa Chakravak Gana Yate Sabhe Karena Vihar Krishna Keli Sumrinal Yaha Pai Sarvakal Bhakta Hamsa Karai Ahar. The devotees who have a relationship with Krishna are like the swans and Chakravak, birds who play in the forest of lotus flowers. The birds of these lotus flowers are the pastimes of Krishna, and they are edibles for the swan-like devotees. Lord Shri Krishna is always engaged in his transcendental pastimes. Therefore, the devotees following the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can always eat those lotus birds, for they are the pastimes of the Lord. Verse 275, Se Sarovare Giya Hamsa Chakravak Rahena Sada Tahan Karaha Vilas Khandive Sakal Dukha Paiba Param Sukha Anayase Habe Premollas. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should go to the lake, and remaining always under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu become swans and Chakravak birds in those celestial waters. They should go on rendering service to Lord Shri Krishna and enjoy life perpetually. In this way, all miseries will be diminished, the devotees will attain great happiness, and there will be jubilant love of God. Verse 276, E Amrita Anukshana Sadhu Mahanta Meghagana Vishwadhyane Kare Varishna Tate Phale Amrita Phala Bhakta Khaya Nirantara Tar Shesha Jiye Jagajana. The devotees who have taken the shelter of lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu take the responsibility for distributing nectarian devotional service all over the world. They are like clouds pouring water on the ground that nourishes the fruit of love of Godhead in this world. The devotees eat that fruit to their heart's content, and whatever remains they leave are eaten by the general populace. Thus they live happily ever after. Or rather happily. Verse 277, Chaitanya Lila Amrit Pura Krishna Lila Shukrapur दोहे मिली हय समुद्र समाधुर्य, साधु गुरु प्रसादे ताहा ये आस्वादे सही जाने madhurya prachurya. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are full of nectar, and the pastimes of Lord Krishna are like camphor. When one mixes these, they taste very sweet. By the mercy of the pure devotees, whoever tastes them can understand the depths of that sweetness. Verse 278. Ye lila amrit vine खाए यदि अन्न पाने तबे भक्तेरा दुर्बल जीवन यार एक बिंदु पाने उत्फुल्लित तनु मने हासे गाय करे नर्तना. Men become strong and stout by eating sufficient grains, but the devotee who simply eats ordinary grains but does not taste the transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna gradually becomes weak and falls down from the transcendental position. If one drinks but a drop of nectar of Krishna's pastime, his body and mind begins to bloom, and he begins to laugh, sing, and dance. But all the devotees connected to Krishna consciousness movement must read all the books that have been translated, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, and others. Otherwise, after some time, they will simply eat, sleep, and fall down from their position. Thus, they will miss the opportunity to attend an eternal blissful life of transcendental pastime. Verse 279. Amrita karpen pan यार सम नाही आन चित्ते करी सुदृढ़ विश्वास ना पद कुतर्क करते अमेध्य कर्कश आवरते याते पड़िले है सर्वनाश. The readers should relish this wonderful nectar because nothing compares to it. Keeping their faith firmly fixed within their minds, they should be careful not to fall into the pit of false arguments or the whirlpool of unfortunate situations. If one falls into such position, he is finished. Verse 280. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Advaita Adi Bhakta Vrinda Arayata Shrota Bhakta Gana Toma Subhar Shri Charana Kari Shire Vibhushana Yaha Haite Abhishta Purana. In conclusion, I submit to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, and all other devotees and readers that I accept your lotus feet as the helmet on my head. In this way, all my purposes will be received. Verse 281. Shri Rupa Sanatana Raghunatha Jeev Charana Shire Dhari Yar Karun Ash Krishna Lila Vritanvita Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Kichu Deen Krishna Das. Taking the feet of Shri Larup Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, and Jeev Goswami on my head, I always desire their mercy. The Sai Krishna Das humbly try to describe the nectar of pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are mixed with the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Verse 282. Shriman Madan Gopal Govinda Dev Tushte Chaitanyarpitam Ashtva Etat Chaitanya Charitamrita. For the satisfaction of Sri Madan Gopal and Govind Dev, we pray that this book Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita may be offered to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 283. Tad idam ati rahasyam gaura lilamritam yat khala samudaya kolair nadritam ter alabhyam kshatir iyam iha kame swaditam yat samanatat saridaya sumanobhir modam esham tanoti. The Chaitanya Charitamrita pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constitute a very secret literature. It is a life of soul of all devotees. Those who are not fit to relish this literature, who are envious like hogs and pigs, will certainly not adore it. However, this will not harm in my attempt. These pastimes of Mahaprabhu will certainly please all saintly people who have clear hearts. They will certainly enjoy it. We wish that this will enhance their enjoyment more and more. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, 25th chapter, describing how the inhabitants of Vārāṇasī were converted to Vaiṣṇavism. There's a note written there. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, has condemned all his enemies by comparing them to the envious hogs and pigs. The Krishna consciousness movement, which is spreading throughout the world, is being appreciated by sincere people, although they have never previously heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna's pastimes. No, even the higher priestly circles are appreciating this movement. They have concluded that this movement is very nice and they have something to learn from it. Nonetheless, in India, there are some people who say that they belong to this cult but who are actually very envious of the Acharya. They have tried to suppress our activities in many ways, but as far as we are concerned, we follow in the footsteps of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and take them as envious pigs and hogs. We simply wish to present the pastimes of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the best of our ability, so that those who are really honest can cleanse their hearts. We hope that they enjoy this literature and bestow their blessings upon us. It appears that even such a great personality as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami met with some envious obstacles rather, what then to speak of us who are only insignificant creatures in this universe. We are simply trying to execute the order of our spiritual master to the best of our ability. End of the Madhya Lila. So we will hopefully begin Antya Lila next time. Thank you for joining. Hare Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.